Feast your eyes. The last best of one of Element 1. I'm Lynx, joined by CDAPS. A monumentous occasion. We say goodbye to our beloved Cedar format. Our favorite early tournament matchup. Because now, Connor, Slate versus For My Gang. This is the last one mapper of the stage.
In Slate, they started off hot. They beat good old wild card. But is that a win that's kind of aging poorly? It seems like it. However, For My Gang, early strong defeats, a little bit of a bounce back against one of the lower teams in the form of Sway. And sure, Slate also lost to Gang Gaming, who are a lot of people's favorites to win the entire event. So this almost feels like the matchup that's going to really kind of cement how we think of Slate.
That's where I'm at, is that for My Gang, obviously, there's enough on the line where you just you have a pretty dramatic loss and not a very convincing win based on the opponent you played. This is a game where you're like, all right, we got to make sure that we're up there. For Slate, as you said, this is guys, we can win the ones that seem like gimmies. Like, sure, we lost to Triple G, but we lost to Wild Card. We still beat the teams we should beat, even if we lose to the teams we should. I want to throw up Slate, take a look at who's on here. It's another one of those teams that are players who started out, 3 years ago at the start of the pandemic at the bottom of T4, have slowly worked their way up in the case of Natural and Spider, and are now starting to contest, but again, they lack a lot of super credible victories since Wildcard Bravo have, again, not won an actual game inside of Element 1.
Yeah, Natural and Spider, they're the duo that we've seen for so long, as well as Rival, who's starting to make a name for himself. He's been looking pretty dang good and is pretty much the main reason that we saw the victory against Wildcard Aces. So if he puts up a similar performance, then I really don't see much of a kind of hope at all for My Gang because of the weaknesses that they've shown entirely. However, constant growth kind of has been in the back pocket of For My Gang, whether their second victory was because of a weaker team or growth, that's sort of more to be desired. But Carter, once again, bottom left of the stats, we have a new team in 16th place in average attacking entry time because Wildcard Aces actually managed to get an attacking entry.
That is true. That is correct. However, average attacking entry time at 1 minute and 33 seconds into the round. That is as slow can be. That's like 2021 IF slow. That's where we're getting at right now. It's very, very slow in those engagements, and I think a lot of that was that bank game that we saw last week against Triple G, where Slate had a very hard time securing map control, and if they didn't do that and they just went direct, it still took like 1.5 minutes, 15 seconds for them to get an opening pick if they got one. But of course, that's for Slate. That's who Connor and I, even though we are a bit iffy on them overall, that's who we believe to be the favorites. But let's go to the other side. Let's go to For My Gang. As you said, got their first win last week, but unfortunately, we don't know just yet what this team is capable of.
Yeah, my eyes are immediately drawn towards Kiru as well as Reapa's Buke, even though Buke does not have a headshot, unfortunately. He cannot join the rest of the beautiful men on his team. But kind of as things stand, For My Gang have a lot to prove. They looked incredibly weak week 1, then they beat a team that is seemingly to be also incredibly weak. And it's rubber meets the road time. They're playing against a team that at least has shown some success, that they're not a bottom team necessarily. They've beaten the roster that they were supposed to in the form of Wildcard Aces, which at the time we thought to be an incredibly big upset. Now doesn't necessarily seem to be that way, especially now for My Gang. Their attacking stats don't necessarily look that bad. 76 seconds, 1 minute and 16. Not that bad on the average attacking entry, as well as the 71% attacking conversion. That's pretty dang solid.
But it's combining with, an average defensive entry conversion and a pretty low defensive win rate. Now, part of that is biased because of the 7-1 loss that they did have in the first game against Dilemma Esports, in which they didn't win a single defense on Villa. But they followed it up with a Kafe game, which they won the majority of, but it still goes to show that they've got a very low defensive entry win rate and not too high of a conversion. And depending on the map that we go today, whether it's, maybe more on the side of an Oregon, that could be a big problem and something that we'll need to see them overcome.
Honestly, I kind of hope we don't go to Oregon.
Me neither.
But could be interesting as we get to see the sort of bare bones kind of building blocks of the roster, and as they go back to like their most core elements to see what these teams really are made of. Yeah, exactly. Elements. Element 1.
Yeah.
Maybe we'll go to element 52. That's where we're gonna go eventually. But I mean, going to a map like Oregon, maybe a clubhouse, might actually be the right idea for both of these rosters to really start hitting their stride and showing off their fundamentals, even though as a viewing experience, it might not necessarily be the best in the world. But as the map veto goes down, immediately Carter, Slate takes down Clubhouse.
Yeah, Slate takes down Club early on. Don't want to flatten the playing field too much, though. For my gang taking down Chalet and Border early on, at least playstyle wise, that might seem like it's a bit of a shock. Certainly much more shocking than Slate taking down Bank, though very late in the game, I will say. But neither Border nor Chalet are maps that For my gang are all too comfortable on. Following it up, Skyscraper banned out. We are left with, what is that? Kafe and Oregon. 2 defender-sided maps. I'm kind of good at this, aren't I? I'm kind of like I'm built different.
I'll give you that. We're probably gonna go to an Oregon, but no, we're going to a Kafe, Carter. We're gonna see a little bit of a run back.
Both these teams played Kafe previously. Slate in their first game against Wildcard Aces, or my gang in their second game against Sway. Both of them ending up winning it 7-4. But again, don't want to hit this point too hard every single time. One of those wins is not that great, and the other one is aging poorer as time goes on. Of course, both these teams have had time to work on it. They have had times to adjust their strategies overall throughout Element 1. Slate in particular, after what we saw in that Bank game last week, they can't let any issues with acquiring map control creep up. They are the ones starting out on the attack on Kafe. It seems to be that while they had some issues, that they've had at least experience on it, and after seeing what Triple G exposed in their Bank game last week, maybe it'll improve now.
I mean, overall, I think the predictions are going to show, a whole lot of Slate, because pound for pound, it is just better players across the board for Slate. However, the inexperience is a little bit of an issue that we've seen rear its ugly head, especially, like we keep on saying, in that trouncing they got from GGG. But once again, it's kind of expected. GGG are a phenomenal team, and Slate was close in some of the rounds. Maybe could have had a slightly better scoreline, but they were overall outclassed, outmatched, however you want to say it. But Carter, is there anything else you kind of maybe want to say for a devil's advocate of For My Gang? No,
I'm actually thinking, I'm giving it some thought. If I would say the devil's advocate for my gang, maybe it's a little bit of a bias towards Slate, but given the inexperience of that team and that they do take it like very seriously. Spider, Natural especially, they want to win. They feel that this is a time to prove themselves, and that kind of pressure, especially on inexperienced people, can sometimes let them collapse. And against players like Reapus or Owen, for example, who have had decent performings inside of Element 1 so far, if they're able to get aggressive and start out and pick up momentum on Kafe defense, that might give Slate a little bit of fear. But again, to counter my own argument, they're also on the back foot against Wildcard Academy last week, and that's why they're going to win. And that is why every one of you, every single one, the 39% aren't real, agree with me.
Yep. It'd be interesting to see the Twitch chat, like the channel points breakdown, because I imagine it's probably going to be a little bit more into the favor of Slate in comparison to the overall social media like Twitter polls. But I mean, we're unanimous. Even the coin agrees with us. A fake person, a seemingly bit of chance goes into the favor. And Carter, we know that whenever all of us talent are unanimous on a decision, even with the coin, it always spells absolute prosperity for us, right?
I was about to disagree with you because of the first game, but the coin was against us. So we had some diversity of thought there, even though if it came from a simulation, I'm sure we'll be fine. I'm sure this will not be a big deal whatsoever. I mean, In terms of the bans, at least, Slate haven't varied things up in the previous game against Wildcard. Banned the Dokkaebi, banned the Solus there. Don't want to deal with it again. Second game against Sway, guess what? Same bans. Nobody changed anything up, at least in terms of the operator ban phase. We'll have to see if the changes occur in the actual round, because the operator's taken off the board. Mirror.
I just remembered that Zers is subbing in.
Attackers need to locate and defuse as many
I like
bombs-
Zers.
Shout
He's
out.
a good player.
That's our boy Spider gone, though.
Yeah, unfortunate. But, I mean, Zers to Spider, not necessarily a downgrade, if any, a side grade. So, Slate, I wouldn't necessarily say they're going to be hurting too much because of the high caliber of sub that they brought to the table and into this competition. Very well respected for that roster acquisition. But for my gang, I mean, everything is still going to be difficult once again if they show their same weaknesses that we've seen kind of be consistent, even across their victory, where it almost seems like they can be lost at certain points.
5 seconds to go.
Slate will definitely need to keep a good handle on things to start out, not get lost. Don't want to give For My Gang, not necessarily the round wins, but the momentum especially to start out. Want to make sure that you keep a cool head, keep it calm. You have expectations, but keep them reasonable, keep them moderate. Especially when acquiring that map control, don't get too lost in the weeds. There'll be players who will try to contest you, like Reapus on the Warden, Owen on the Frost, or even early on, we could have Diffuser behind that shield and Pixel, try to take a fight with the player on the Repel. Slate need to anticipate that. Don't let it overwhelm them.
Yeah, I mean, what really are you going to expect from the first round of Kafe? So, just a little bit of a top-down, initial pressure on the roof, try to break down some utility on the top floor, slowly make your way down, apply vertical pressure, and maybe force some people back on white stairs, because the top floor is not the bomb site, it's just going to be the primary battleground for probably the first at least half of the round. So, as Diffuser takes an initial gunfight, not really bearing any damage so far, but his shield is still up, and Kiru takes a whole lot of damage natural, almost able to take down a site player, which would have opened a massive gap.
Nothing open just yet. Well, am I still holding on to this top floor defense? Of course, but downstairs, the top floor is very much the focus of any reading room and fireplace setup. Over half the round now gone, and Slate have struggled to move beyond the red stairs. Some kills, potential ones, have walked by them, and they've tried to leap at the opportunity, but only dealt damage, not dealt any blows to For My Gang's roster at the moment. Still a 5v5 and almost approaching a minute left. 3 players now over on this cocktail side, not even retreating just yet.
A minute 10 still left to go, and the slow attacks on the entries coming through isn't really great, especially as Rival, one of the players that we thought was going to do so well, falls first. Diffuser and the rest of the gang, they're still up top. Down goes the Ash as Floofs just gets caught sprinting. Natural and Spy, they have a whole lot of damage in their bodies, as well as Zers falling to the headshot of Capsule. Everything has fallen apart so quickly, Carter. So quickly. It's still 5 players for My Gang left alive against 2 for Slate.
Is it not going to serve Slate well going forward? I thought they'd make at least some progress on clearing out those roamers upstairs. The amount of time wasted in the little control gain, we just had Floofs vaulting in, Natural lurking down below. He's about to get flanked by Capsule himself. He can't react in time. 1v5 now. Despite the damage done to Kira and Diffuser, nobody on For My Gang drops whatsoever. Take the first round.
I'm getting worried.
It's 1 round, man.
I'm getting worried, though. A flawless round on a seemingly secondary bomb site.
I see your point.
Not necessarily a step in the right direction for Slate on their attacks. They really didn't do anything correctly. They almost got the opening pick towards the site player of Kiru, aggressively peeking through some of the red wall holes, but after that, that's kind of where the praise for Slate cannot continue further. Everything else was For My Gang. Sure, there was a little bit of action from Slate where they understood that, hey, the time's going down, we've got to do something, and that led to mistakes, but For My Gang handled the pressure phenomenally.
I'll move up to Cocktail now. Without aggression, will be a lot more at the forefront, and if Slate want to go for a similar take, the amount of map control they're left with will be all the more constricting. On Reading Room, you're at least projected to go farther, but if you accomplish that control, you have a lot more to work with. You can do vertical over on Cocktail Balcony or on Long Bar. Here, if you get stuck on red, what the hell else are you going to do? Can't take down Pixel Shield, maybe can't even apply pressure on the Cocktail Repel. Pushing further here is as much an imperative now as it is on Reading, if not more. Slate need to watch out for those aggressive positions, because even though For My Gang weren't actively taking gunfights or doing damage, they were holding the control.
Ooh.
And now with the sledge gone, that's going to be harder.
Yeah, because one of the most important things that Sledge brings to the table are nades, especially from down below. If there's going to be any sort of third dimension in towards the Slate attack, it was going to be a late white hit coming from a player taking down below and probably throwing nades to remove players from powerful positions like Cocktail, C1 through C3. But now that's not necessarily possible unless Rival goes down below. But if you need an entry, they're probably going to be trying to take over towards Pixel. The first couple of Terror drones come through, try to take out any utility, but some of the shields, they're still left up in powerful positions, nonetheless persist for My Gang, and the sort of potential for them to re-aggress towards area is there, as Shapai is aggressing entirely.
Yeah, aggressing entirely, but I think he overestimated the control he had or the gap that was there. Absol's still inside a freezer, no one to deny him. Kiru's still holding bathroom, shuts down Floofs the moment he enters. Slate are fundamentally misreading what you need to do on a Kafe attack. I think overplaying their hand. They're thinking they have something winning when they really don't. Diffuser downed by a nade. They're clawing some bits and pieces together, but not enough to make a round win. Zers rotates over. You can't have the cocktail pressure now. Gotta go to Skylight. Rival just shut down, caught walking off of the new balcony. What the hell has been going on? Just some utility here. A player pushing individually there. It's just a freebie after freebie for My Gang. And nothing much really positive to talk about on the side of Slate, beyond the fact that if Zers wants to get aggressive, they can move on to the next round quicker than if he had stalled.
I disagree fundamentally with Shapai's decision there, where dropping and just hitting the site hard by yourself with no other teammates and diffuser is a very kind of last second decision. That is a, hey, we need a Hail Mary. But they threw a Hail Mary on like 2nd and 9 instead of like 4th and 30. So there wasn't really any desperation, but ultimately it completely screwed up the attack where they didn't have diffuser control. There was no more possibility for any breaching to go on in towards the piano controls that they ultimately got and then let go of. Just really perplexing decisions once again, as now 2 rounds in, Slate only has that many kills to their name.
Going down to Kitchen 2. For My Gang not with a particularly high defensive win rate so far, though a decent showing on their Kafe game last week. Not really facing any competition whatsoever, and this is a shame in a position like this where For My Gang, they've acquired a 2-round lead. Slate have not won a single round, and we want to get excited when a team that was unanimously predicted by us to lose starts winning and puts up a solid lead. We want to get excited, but it's situations like this where Slate are not just seemingly asleep at the wheel, but actively giving For My Gang additional tools to work with just based off of poor play. It's hard to get excited. It's hard to really feel all that happy. And we need to start Slate fixing this, not only just for their own chances, but also to really make this a competitive showing. And if Floof's just Amaru's in here and there's not enough intel to be gathered on that second floor, I'm gonna feel really, really unhappy about the entry performance if he doesn't have the intel to make this work or just gets smoked off this angle.
If he manages to get smoked off this angle, I mean, whoever peeks him, I believe that's Diffuser right there. Yep, he kind of deserves it, but I mean, I think his leg is going to get exposed right there, and there could be shots, but Floofs, he's not going to be able to land them. Unfortunately to her Diffuser, the reading door is closed. He is effectively trapped inside there. Natural seems to have a bit of an inkling that, yes, core diffuser is locked, but somehow he manages to get back across that angle that Floofs was holding. Don't know what happened there, but I guess we're going to continue the tally mark of perplexing decisions from Slate and add a quick tick to it.
They have middle floor control at least, though with half the round gone. The control handed to them by the defense, not really taken actively, but you'll take what you can get, play the game in front of you. Natural will need to start getting into position, opening up these holes in the reading room floor. Not the reading room floor, the mining floor, dining, train, all the areas above the site. They've got Shpai on the buck to do this as well. And 3 grenades remaining, so a lot of utility with a fair bit of time, though their utility is reduced marginally. Rival had 1 grenade left. It is now gone as Natural starts using his.
The first nade to take out a Goyo. That's a pretty well thought out trade, because if the plant is going to go down on that bomb chassis, that Vulcan, I almost said shield, that Vulcan pack, I guess, is still going to be in a good position, but no longer. Floofs, he's rotated over towards reception, probably going to try to jump into coat check, but Shpai, he takes down Owen. Down goes your Jaeger, as Natural is fighting a lot on the
What the
top,
hell's going on?
and falls down into the site and dies as everybody is just killing all of Slate. And I don't know what is going on. I don't think any of the players do either. But Floofs has 1 HP, make that 0 as Reapas takes him out. And that's 3 in a row for Slate, for my gang, while Slate seems so incredibly lost.
I was about to say, we gotta have the timeout here. Like, absolute necessity at this point. Because this is what I saw from my perspective, okay? And actually, I forgot. Maybe cluing into the comms, perhaps, but either way. What I saw from my perspective, Connor, I mean, it was just like...
So they're going back to reading,
No,
right?
let's listen actually.
Okay,
right now.
Okay, I got talk. Listen, I don't have much time to talk. You guys just need to slow down a bit, okay? Your guys' takes are fine. You guys are taking the map control that you guys need, but once you guys have the map control, they're sticking their ground and you guys aren't clearing properly. You guys need to stack up. You guys can't be splitting up and going for the normal takes you guys usually would be. So I think what you guys have to do is just full commit to one take. And if you guys do that, you guys will have the man advantage to be able to take whatever side of the map you guys want. For instance, I'll give the example of right there, actually, that round. If you guys would have committed to a full VIP or a full bake or something like that, you guys would have easily won the round, because 4 of them were playing whiskey side, or whiskey side actually. So I think you guys just have to make sure that you guys are droning, making sure that you guys have information and committing to one side. And I think you guys got this in the bag. Like, no joke, you guys got this.
Okay.
What did they
Wait,
okay, real quick?
they're
What did
going
they
back
put on
to
bottom- What
reading.
did they put on bottom white last round?
Just barbed.
Just barb. I'm gonna go Bravo.
I think.
Just let me work. I'll have the same similar padding, but I'm
I
just
think
gonna
what we can do,
just
we
walk
can.
in, literally.
I think we do a fast VIP.
All right. So, obviously, they believe the issue is with not committing to one particular take,
Defenders, protect your bombs from
rushing
being
things too
defused by
quickly, and I think Connor, in the case of the second round, I think that was inarguably the problem. That they took things way too quickly. Shpai pushed way too far into sight with the diffuser with no coverage available to him, and that ended up losing them the round. I think you could also argue, though, that even if they wanted to commit to a VIP side take with 4 people there, I mean, they got middle floor control at a minute 30. Sure, they didn't kill anybody, but they could have used the intel gathered or the utility they had to work something. But I think they are going with it too quickly. Whether the issue is rotating to another take or adapting, I think at least following through on whatever plan you decide in a reasonable manner without speeding things up too quickly, I think everyone can agree that that's definitely the problem Slate have suffered in all 3 of these rounds.
attackers are moving out.
Yeah, it's just been the time management where they're not taking advantage of time that they have, and then
Defender has
it's just perplexing on that they're rushing when they don't need to and seemingly being slow when they do have to really ramp up the intensity. So nothing's just worked out so far, and that's why I see 3 rounds in a row for my gang, which they haven't had to do much. Sure, when they peak, you get deaths like that. Down goes diffuser, opening pick goes into the side of rival, who may seemingly start to come alive, as a lot of players on Slate are going for the bottom-up approach. Both sets of nades could be entering and trying to maybe push up white. They were talking about the barbed wire at the bottom, as there can be some feigned pressure over towards the top side, cigar, areas like that. And then all of a sudden, somebody hits white, takes out some sort of key and crucial anchors into the bomb site, and things can get dodgy
Attackers
for
have
my
located a
gang.
bomb.
Like you said, nades down below. The rival moving up to that second floor. Want to make some inroads into Pixel as well, as Natural moves over to the cigar rappel, trying to deal with that Pixel shield, but he's beamed through the wall by Reapus. Candela's now gone. Moving into train or dining will be a lot harder now that you don't have those flashes, but there's still some burn to rely on. 6 flash grenades between Spy and Floofs, and 2 frag grenades remaining as well. So still a lot of utility to work with, and Floofs might have just made it into the site, as almost everyone has left it. Aside from Kiru on For My Gang, Zers recovers, brings it back to a 3v3, and now that site control fully established. But now For My Gang know the play. They know they've started pushing in, but they've got no intel on where the bomb's going down. Shotguns overreading, bullets into dining. The Reapus gets that man advantage right back. The player who planted the bomb now cut down completely. Spy and Zers have both retreated, but they're completely separate. Zers wins his one, but loses another. The Legion spotted through the floor. 1v1 now. Owen might have just spotted the diffuser. There's a long angle now covered. He can long arm it, but Spy will get the angle, can see the arm, can spray him down, and get Slate their first round on attack.
I was worried for quite a bit of time when Floofs just appeared in the bomb site, as one other player on Slate has done every single round, but it actually worked out in their favor. We saw Zers on the other side flip things back his direction, and the opening pick, finally going the way of Slate, did make things a little bit better.
Hitting once. Off.
No!
Holy shit, give me that. Good round.
Let's go, Zers! That's Zers Sosa! Zers Sosa on the sludge.
Just gaps every fucking round.
Very excited. Very happy after that victory. But like you said, you mentioned it right there. Diffuser did make a silly play at the beginning of the round. Not going for the spawn peak, but going for it multiple times. Obviously, he did not know that the Yana was just completely ready for that second peak. But still pressing his
It was like the 4th peak, man.
Yeah, true. Fair point. He's still, either way, 2nd or 4th, he was pressing his luck way too far. And at one point, For My Gang, in that retake, got a 3v2. If Diffuser doesn't give away that spawn peak, perhaps that's a different round. But Slate got one on the board. Now, For My Gang have decided to go cocktail and not replay a site that they have now lost, even though they've won it.
Yep. So, for Slate, seemingly they can get another free kill onto Diffuser again if he's gonna go for this. Seems like he just wants to feign the pressure, open up the window, make them a little bit more worried as they come out of spawn, but nobody spawns that direction, so they all go more towards the top right. Capsule takes down Shapai. That is at Snow Door. Down goes the Ying once again. First death on the attack is arguably the most important for an execute. However, at least for Slate's attacks, when they didn't have a Ying, they're undefeated, so yeah.
Nah, this is crazy. Like, wow. Are you really? You're still, what? That's actually ridiculous. I cannot believe Capsule took that fight 3 times. Didn't get as many peaks as Diffuser in. That's 2 kills now on white side. The Ying and the Nomad gone. Diffuser, by the way, not the player, but the case, still dropped outside of the door. Zers creeping up brown stairs. Oh, could have just spotted one. Looks away at the wrong time. Finally gets a kill. That's Capsule playing aggressive gone, again on bottom white. But with the impact that Jaeger has had, even getting that kill doesn't really mean that much in the long run.
Yeah, because half the round is gone. You know, almost half of Slate is gone. Zers lost a lot of HP, and Rivals just going straight on in. Somehow goes through the barricade, unless that was a visual glitch. Rival, he's able to fell Bukes, but the immediate trade comes through as Owen loads him up with the TCSG, throws the Nitro for good measure to make sure there wasn't a teammate behind him, and all of that work seems for naught, except that Zers from below was able to answer back. It's now seemingly winnable, as Zers has had a phenomenal round so far. It's Kiro and Owen against Natural and Zers. Not a whole lot of map control to their name, and not that much time, but if Zers is able to pick off Owen, who's peeking a little bit too aggressively inside of Cigar Shop, sort of broadcasting his position, things can get interesting. A lot of pressure falling on Kiru.
Zers has done the vast majority of it work in this round for Slate. Sure, Rival got a kill, but Had Zers not got that follow-up on the player through the floor or taking down Capsule on the roam, that was an easy 1v1, or 1-for-1 that For My Gang very much did pick up. Zers has been the deciding factor for Slate in making up for Capsule's huge two-piece to start. The low time, not a lot of intel, a natural, poor game so far, 0-4. They both got to show up to close this one out. Both the defenders have fallen back with his one in library. Zer's not aware, focused more on Cocktail. Player might vault over and cover it. No, just the C4 is all that's necessary. Even with Zer spotted, that round is done and dusted the moment Kiru detonates that C4.
It's the time issue once again. Rushing when they don't need to, and taking their time when they need to rush. It's just perplexing once again. Slate just seems so confused in the mid-round where they're not able to adjust properly, and a lot of the positions for My Gang are very, very telegraphed. They're very default. I wouldn't say that For My Gang is doing anything special, besides, I guess, some of the roam shenanigans, like who expects a Jaeger to be aggressively peeking snow door 5 times, but, I mean, there's very easy ways to counter that, Carter. It's you hit your 5 key, and you drone before you shove your face in a door.
Well, now we go to Kitchen, which sparked the timeout, which Slate seemingly might have gotten closer to the issues they figured out, but actually getting a handle on how to fix them has certainly eluded the team so far.
10 seconds left before insertion.
Performances on For My Gang so far are far outstripping their equivalents on Slate. 3 players positive for My Gang, 1 player even. Diffuser, the only player negative at the moment, but we still got Natural. 0 kills so far. Floof's only 1 to speak of. Zer is the only one even close to positive, and after last round, he's just breaking even. Just barely escaping the red. Kitchen in particular was around where, when they acquired that middle floor control after it was ceded by the defense, the plan seemingly was non-existent for how they actually wanted to execute onto that bottom floor. Thankfully for them, Connor, not a lot of roamers to speak of again. So if getting that middle floor control is the first step, seems like they'll be able to take it without too much of an issue. Wow. I would just quit the game, honestly.
That is Capsule's second wall bang of that spot, by the way.
I would honestly, I'd forfeit. I'd be furious.
It's you pull out the hammer, and you get the hammer dropped on you. That is very tragic, as Zer's the one shining light of Slate's attack so far falls, leaving it pretty much up to Shy, who has made some interesting decisions, as well as Rival, who has been hot and cold so far. Slate, with what worked last time they attacked this bomb site, was a full top down where the mid round, all the way until the late round, looked good. Instead, they're scrapping away everything that they did positively, going for a direct, and fumbling the bag.
Rivals made his way in, but again, these Slate players will work themselves in close to the site, but it only ends up hurting them. He's surrounded by For My Gang defenders. It just so happens the positioning is favoring him. Diffuser rotates into his line of sight. But focused on the players in Kochek and Smallbake, they're not giving up the same easy engagements. They're just letting the Yana have sight. The Bandit's starting to worry about it, but he'll still only play long bar. They know the rest of his team is bottom white. With another player rotating on in, Capsule will smoke it out, just see the ace. But Flank, once again, he's got the SMG out. Is anybody covering? Yes, 1 player inside of the site. You might just smoke Spy off. Indeed, you have to rotate over to bunker. With Rival and Spy on low HP, Natural, the only one on full health. The bomb will go down successfully. Slate have a man advantage, albeit maintained tenuously. They can pull back to their positions. Caps doesn't have smokes to drive the players out of position. This is only going to be by gunfights. Close quarters ones at that. Rival a quad kill now. Cut down 4. Might have pushed very far. Might have pushed aggressively, but it might just get Slate barely a 2-4 half. Time dwindling down. Caps trapped in a crossfire. Rival doesn't get the ace, but Slate get a much-needed win on attack and a much-needed mentality restoration going into the second half.
If the heroics did not come out of Rival, this game is almost over. However, the door has been slightly cracked. A 2-4 split on the attack, not too bad. Not too bad, all things considered. This could have definitely gone a lot more into the favor for My Gang. You could argue this could have been a 6-0, Carter.
Good. Especially that reading room round oh so long ago. Could be a 6-0 for my gang, in which case we are singing nothing but lows for Slate's performance. And even then, Slate have still barely put things together. Rival overperforming drastically in that kitchen round, somehow able to fight out of being alone inside of the site, in normally a position that we've seen Slate suffer from in this very game. And with how long it took them to join him and how quickly Rival pushed in, can often hurt the attacking team more than it helps. But they got that 2-4 half, and this is where we need to see the recovery. They had a comeback against Wildcard Aces all the way back on the first playday. They managed to come back from a 2-4 half and end up winning the game. Here, the attacks have looked very weak, and the defenses probably need to do even more work to convince us they've got a shot.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, for my gang, their attacks have looked rough as well, so
True.
a 5-1 isn't necessarily out of the picture. It's not off the table completely for Slate to try to take this in regulation, especially because, I mean, with newer teams, one of the biggest things we look for is they're usually good on defense, but attacks, those are a lot more difficult to accomplish. So 2 attacks seemingly out of just pure desperation that seemed to work might have just been the full saving grace from Slate. They can't end it quickly. It will have to go all the way to, pretty much all the way to the end of regulation, maybe even overtime.
Provide some specifics, of course. Slate did have a much better performance on defense against Wildcard Aces, 4-1 on that half, but still able to mount at least an even half against Wildcard Academy. 3-3. This round is be a good litmus test for the remainder. Reading room defense, just like For My Gang started on their defensive half. The attack slowly positioning themselves around the defensive setup. One player in Cigar, one player on the Skylight. Players using utility to open up new angles. Slate aren't fearful just yet. They're still holding their positions, but we can see the mindset for My Gang. They're cutting off rotations, getting to positions where they can use utility to get kills. As an E1D goes out, we need to see somebody start to push, or at least a gunfight occur. It's all just been shots and random pre-fires, but nothing super accurate. Nothing confirmed. There it is. Kiru finds Floofs. For My Gang taking the opening pick. It seems like the 7th time so far. Oh.
Well, at least Rival answers back, but Diffuser is just in the bomb site causing mayhem. The trade comes through and another pre-fire drops down natural. Sure, Capsule's in a DB&O state, but he is at least recoverable. For Spy, he needs to go for this flank, but it's going to get cut down immediately. Diffuser just has an inkling. He has the read. He's going to drop down so many players as well as revive his teammate, leaving it all up to Zers with 33 seconds left. Not any really sight control until Diffuser just walks in, and Zers just cuts down literally everybody. Running straight to the positions of the teammates of Slate and dropping them in their graves.
Now, was that the most coordinated clear of the top floor we've ever seen? No. But this is still where For My Gang has so far been at their strengths. When they can just play scrappy, just play for those kills, and just throw you completely off your game by being chaotic and catching you off guard and surprising you.
MVP. I'm watching like, nice! Good fucking shit, guys!
Let's fucking go!
They haven't even won the game yet, and their mic is peaking. I mean, they're excited. The vibes are good. The momentum's on their side. It's 5-2 now, Connor. Whereas with Slate, I can only imagine that as Natural fails to get a kill, as Floofs fails to move beyond that one, and Rival, after heating up in that 4K damn near ace on the kitchen attack, as those kind of weaker points start moving back to the forefront of their mind, if they don't win this next one, I have to think the mental game is chalked, especially with their timeout burned.
Yeah, especially because, I mean, if you're from Slate's perspective, you probably thought this was a freebie game. A lot of people did. They wrote off For My Gang entirely. I mean, all of us, I kind of alluded to the curse that we have when it's a unanimous decision. We don't have that great of a track record. We really don't. Something just in the cosmic beings decide to punish us, as Zers is immediately going to take down Uke. And I think that was, yep, the pre-fire out of the kitchen-ish. Forget the call out for that. Out of that window, drops a quick chat into the text, and now can just kind of fall back with the rest of his team.
Or my gang can go, even after losing that IQ, can go for the rest of that clear. To be honest, with the IQ, there wasn't a whole lot that they really needed that scanner for, so the main thing that you're just missing from Reapus is having him with the rest of the team to play with, set up pinches, entry into buildings. But still a lot of useful utility that they have. No breach charges, but the skeleton key and the sledgehammer should do the vast majority of the work. Slate also now have the advantage of, with that man advantage, just retreating back. You got a 5v4. No point wasting time or wasting energy on a roam that really, because of Zers getting that one kill, has already done quite a lot of work. They're going to spend the next 30, 45 seconds opening up these vertical holes. Just play your positions down below. Wait for For My Gang to push and play that advantage.
All the pieces for For My Gang are falling into place. They have all the control that they need to start sort of knocking on the door of an execute. The vertical pressure, it's been applied. They still have all the nades in the world in the back pocket of Diffuser, as well as Kiru, to clear out a position like bottom white over towards Christmas, as well as Capsule. I think they're going to go for the pinch on bottom brown in conjunction with utility. Owen is droning out and confirming the location of sort of the utility that Slate has allocated. They know that there's, hey, 2 ADSs, we need to burn those away. Zers, he's watching the brown, making sure his teammate, or no, he was the teammate on the shield, making sure he doesn't get pinched. He's wary of the potential Capsule backside push, but as the nades take away the shield, they know that he's fallen back into another location, and they're going to have to pinch him in a different area.
Zers falls off the brown angle though with a nasty pre-fire. Shuts Capsule off that point of entry. Switches to the SMG-12 as Diffuser fights back. 2 kills for Zers, 2 kills for For My Gang. Bottom white now cleared, and Natural now gone. 0-7 now. Suddenly the advantage achieved by Zers completely erased. It's all the damage done to For My Gang by one Warden and his MPX. Now he can't do the rest of the heavy lifting. Less than 10 seconds to go. Owen has made his way in with the Diffuser. One watching long haul, the other likely covering inside the site, but where's his coverage? Hello? Bomb now on the floor. They have to get this last kill. They give it away completely. Match point now gone because nobody, not a soul, was covering the freezer rotate.
That's seemingly the only area that the planter is really in any danger from. Above and somebody sprinting in freezer, especially because he was sprinting in freezer, giving off all the audio cues in the world, and then he just manages to get just enough bullets to DB&O Owen and wins the round. Absolute heroics from that player, as Slate don't seem to want to die just yet. A couple of heroics, one on the attack, one on the defense of Kitchen, has been 66% of their rounds, but they're going to have to find success on some other bomb sites. They're going to have to figure out a way to attack this top floor where, or pardon me, defend this top floor where For My Gang seemed to know every angle and win every gunfight when the shoes were reversed.
Slate just collapsed. They held on for seemingly a brief period of time. For My Gang just carved their way through the top floor. Wanton destruction, trailing. And Slate could not maintain an advantage. And that's, again, where, as I said earlier, where For My Gang thrive. And as you saw there, even in the bakery round that they just lost, still a place where they were happy to play. Diffuser just walking in. He's forced to get 2 kills to make it a 3v3. That's fine. He'll try. Maybe he fails. Maybe he doesn't. And when he doesn't, that's the round, seemingly in a position for victory. Of course, they end up losing it. Now, Zers is still trying, feeling the pressure of being one of the only top performers for Slate so far.
So far, not a whole lot going on in this round, but what's to be expected only 40 rounds in. Diffuser is just staring at a barricade, seemingly wanting to cut off any rotation, as Capsule has a nice little bit of intel towards the location of Natural's rotation, as well as Rival's position inside of pillars. But as Diffuser falls, he was outside that exterior window, and Capsule, droning himself, might be able to get a little bit of a jump tactic onto poor Fenrir of Rival, but as he now shoots through the wall, he's telegraphing his position entirely, and that surprise factor has completely been removed. If Slate win this round, a 4-5 makes things so much better than the 2-5. All of a sudden, just a couple of rounds strung together, this game has been entirely flipped on its head and looks so much more promising for these young players, but they still have a lot of work to do. Sure, you have the man advantage, but Kiryu's trying to make that completely different. Has a little bit of a inkling to walk in towards sight, but decides better of it when the pre-fire doesn't quite land. His X-Kairos utility is needed inside a piano, get some breaches open, vacate the bathroom, and make sure certain premises are completely clear. Zers, he's still fighting aggressively over towards these deep angles. He's got the 1.5, he's ready to shoot things down, but Capsule's going to take down Natural as he falls to 1 and 8.
He got the one, though. He got the one to start things off on the right foot. Now with him gone, not a lot of utility, but still a position that's becoming more and more important. Zers has those glasses to dodge the flashbangs. They'll become even more important. As For My Gang take a lot of time progressing further. They've opened up bathroom, but they haven't cleared that shield. They're not confident in their intel, and they don't exactly have a lot of drones to compensate for that fact. They've won the messy rounds before, but now Slate are fighting back. The coverage inside a Cigar cut down, though Kiryu gets one, and Owen repels in, suddenly taking control, but they're separated by the site itself. Owen's position is known on Cocktail Balcony, and Kiryu's is too. Two isolated engagements, but Floof's looking the wrong way. Makes now Spy all alone to deny match point. A second round, he'll have to do it. Maybe based on time, maybe by kills. As the Razor Bloom activates, Kiryu's gotta run! Surely he doesn't win enough time again! No, he walks right into the Lions' crosshairs! For My Gang get match point, despite the positioning almost costing it a second time.
I'm just so confused, man. I am so confused. That is a monumental troll. There's a giant blinking red Razor Bloom logo on your screen, and you decide, yeah, I'm gonna get the bomb down right here, and then die.
They won the round.
It shouldn't even have been close. It had my heart scared. It had me scared, man. But at the end of the day, 6-3. One more round For My Gang. They have wherever they want to attack. Slate the full picture of defensive options, pretty much. They're going to decide to go back once again to a bomb site that really should have been more in their favor. It had, I think, it was a 4v2 at one point, if I'm not incorrect.
It was a 4v2.
With like 35, 40 seconds left. Should have been a completely done deal, but for some reason, a Lion is able to just swing in off of the rappel for free, take down some people as Kiryu also hit a lick inside the bomb site. And then, despite a lot of shenanigans, the round still went into the attacker's favor.
By trying for a spawn peek. Doesn't pay off, unfortunately. Getting an advantage would definitely be helpful for Slate at this point, as cutting it close on those executes has not just proven powerful enough. It's worked sometimes, but in a best of one, if that strategy is inconsistent, it can cost you, especially when you're down 3 rounds like Slate are right now. Cocktail, site attack once again. For My Gang, starting over by Stage and Cigar once again. It's the exact same playbook, but if Slate can get that first pick like they did before, keep For My Gang playing in a disadvantaged position with Owen down right now, this is workable.
I like how the rat play from Zers completely panned out. If you noticed, he was just laying prone inside of Rice for the entirety of prep phase, and then just snuck out as soon as he heard that door opened up and caught a player droning. The refrag comes out as Diffuser drops Floofs. Down goes a Nitro Cell as well as the Mira as he falls to 1 in 10. Diffuser going to double up onto Rival as well, and Chapai, he's in an interesting position that can be punished quite easily if his position is to be known. The man advantage back into the side For My Gang is promising to end this map quickly, but they've still got half a round to work with. as another couple of kills
Well-
goes in the favor of Diffuser, who wants this ace, wants to finish it off, but Capsule's gonna do it.
The immediate departure of the game by Floofs, and soon after Shpai, things signals that this was not a very fun game to play if you're a player on Slate. And it wasn't entirely fun to watch either, because in the rounds they did win, some were off time, some were close 1v1s, but unfortunately for all of us as talent who have to predict this as well, the Slate that we thought might show up, that had a good performance against wildcard aces, honestly, if a few small engagements go differently, this game is probably a 7-0.
Yep. I should have changed when I saw the unanimous vote. I should have done it,
Well, you
but
did.
I didn't. I did not. I will take it on the chin because For My Gang earned this game by all metrics. Absolute heroics to get the few rounds that Slate were able to. And even in the rounds that were close, they required heroics once again. And at the end of the day, For My Gang played a very solid match. Fundamentally, they looked sound. They looked comfortable. They controlled the tempo. They understood what was going on inside this map so much more. And even if Diffuser is just crouch walking around, going from player to player, killing player after player, that's really all they need, and his team has set him up to do that.
But it's still the kind of team where if you want to set yourself, a cut above the rest as a solid, even middle of the pack, top tier 2 team, I mean, not to, disrespect For My Gang, but like, this is the kind of team, the kind of play style that you got to beat if you want to play at this level. It's a lot of solo walking around, even if they are setting you up for it. It's,
right?
still Diffuser by himself.
Let's go! Let's fucking go!
Even if they are excited and get 4 kills. But this is the kind of play style that if you want to be at the top of this level, you got to stop somebody solo crouch walking around a window, or somebody going for a solo spawn peek, peeking 4 times. And Slate, they did it, but only sometimes. Only in a round here or around there, or not even necessarily in a round that they won. So Slate so far inside of Element 1, they've got that first win against Wildcard Academy where they look decent. But since then, it has been a rapid and meteoric decline into, again, some of... we'll just say some very poor gameplay. I don't want to be too harsh.
It does make me a little bit worried going towards BO3s because it requires an expanded map pool, and now they're split on Kafe, and they got decimated on Bank. What maps do Slate have in their back pocket to fall onto when even more pressure is mounting on their shoulders? We don't necessarily know. As well as For My Gang, that testament can be echoed. It can be flipped because the only success they've found is on Kafe. So when you go into the map ban phase, take off Kafe, what happens?
Not sure. Taking a look at the stats right now. I mean, 2 big things looking at me. Natural and Floof's 0.21, 0.27. Only 1 kill between them. One kill for both. 2 kills between them, to get my math right. For Natural, to his credit, one of them was an entry, or his only kill was an entry. But 2 very, very low performers on not exactly unimportant operators. Sure, Natural was sharing the sledge, but the Brava as well. Once you're done with those Kludge drones, you might find yourself in a fragging position, or might find yourself trying to catch somebody on a solo play or a lurk, like we saw For My Gang do. And compare that to the opposing team, For My Gang, where their flex player, their more passive player in terms of the operators, Owen, at least broke even, at least went positive.
Yeah, I mean, especially when you just kind of look at Capsule. Phenomenal game, 3-0 on entry, really well done. So, I mean, well done to, hats off to For My Gang once again, as they're just kind of proving haters wrong, and they're going towards a good old promotion match.
Indeed, and we actually have Kiru from For My Gang to talk to about their next victory in now, I believe, 2 in a row after their victory against Sway, and now their victory against Slate. We have Kiru to talk to and get some insight into that. Hey, how you doing?
Hi, how's it going?
I'm doing all right. So, you guys now have 2 wins inside of Element 1, obviously against Sway and now against Slate. You've made it to that promotion game, and I think this is a spot where, being in the 2-1 position, a lot of people watching Element 1 who saw you guys qual might be a bit surprised by. Do you think that's kind of the vibe you've gotten, that you are a little bit of an underdog?
No, not surprised at all. Like, not at all. Definitely, going into Element 1, knowing that there's going to be 8 teams qualified and seeing the invited teams, we thought we would definitely be able to qual and then like going into this, like I was pretty confident we'll be able to make playoffs, and now we're one best of 3 away. So.
All right. Well, I certainly admire the confidence, and definitely in some of the team comm listenings, we seem to have gotten that vibe. But in the game that we just saw against Slate, there was a lot of big pop-off moments from different players in your roster. You had one of them. Diffuser had one big quad kill to end out the game. This seems to be like a kind of roster where you do really want to focus on enabling individual players who find opportunities into the round. Are you leaning into that play style at all, or is this just a game where everyone was really feeling aggressive?
Yeah, no, we definitely lean into it. You know, we have a team of a bunch of strong mechanical players, right? And then we're like getting pretty comfortable in our roles with like me being on support now and Reapa's moving to more of an entry. So we're definitely feeling really good, playing really aggressive, playing into our talented players' mechanics, and really playing into that, yeah.
And so, just to round things out, obviously you have made it to the best of 3 stage, and you've had 2 consistent wins, but still to start the season, that 7-1 loss. Do you think best of 3s now, after you've had kind of victories and losses all over the board, dominant losses, but also dominant wins, do you think best of 3s, maybe you'll find a little bit more consistency?
Well, it really depends on the team we play. I feel like in a best of 3 against certain teams, we could be extremely dominant and like just 2-0, and there's other games or other teams that I feel like they'd play good against us, and I feel like it would be really close, intense series, you know? So excited to see who we play.
All right, well, I'm excited to see as well, as you guys have just rounded out our final best of 1 inside of Element 1. We move on to best of 3s, as do you. So thank you very much, Kiru, and hope you have a good night.
All right, thank you.
Well, and as I mentioned, that does it for the best of 1s inside of Element 1. Again, we still have a lot more games, but it's all best of 3s here on out. To take a recap of the day, it's been fairly one-sided, all things considered. No overtimes. We had 1-7-5, one close game, but from Outlast to Osiris to For My Gang, the teams who have won it have looked like unequivocally the victor by the end of it.
Yeah, I mean, I still think that Osiris win was the biggest statement so far, as well as potentially with Karn & Co. bouncing back. So looking strong nonetheless for kind of all the teams that won. I almost even forgot about Outlast, as they looked good once again. We're into promotion and elimination in just a little bit. We've got some more BO3s to be played over the next couple of days. Gang Gaming versus Aerial Arise. There are people writing formal essays in MLA format about how this game is the soul of T2 right here. So I'm kind of upset I'm not casting it, but I'm sure whoever's doing the call is going to do it justice. And I'll be sitting on the sidelines just patiently awaiting Poison versus Kool-Aid.
Yeah, and of course, as Connor said, both this set of promotion games and this set of elimination games, the 2-0 and the 0-2 games, will be played over the coming days. We've got the elimination games tomorrow, and then we've got the promotion games the day after that. I believe that is Crow and Fellow casting it, Connor, to answer your own question. And then after that, that's where things get interesting, because obviously we'll have some teams qualified for playoffs, but one or two even of Carnival can win, of the Triple G, Aerial Arise, SSG Academy, the big 3 that people have projected as these are the 3 teams that are the most likely to win Element 1. 1 to 2 of them will not make it in their initial round of playoff games, and that's where we can kind of see, okay, who's maybe got the deeper map pool, who's really has the chance to take it inside of Element 1. Whereas with the elimination games, no disrespect to CNE and Sway, but I'm still looking to that Carry the Boats game to see if Sweater and the rest have got it in them to actually play a series and not mount some so far disappointing performances.
Yeah, hopefully for Carry the Boats, best of 3s really awakens their experience and they can try to really punish some of the mistakes that we've seen out of Chunner Esports. But at the end of the day, Chunner Esports has one man, and one man that can save North American Siege. And that is Senvale.
It's Senvale.
In Senvale we trust.
We always talk about it, and we always got to bring him up on the side of Chunner Esports. And hey, if you're a big Senvale fan, if you've been watching his TikToks, watching his streams or his YouTubes, you can go to the Atlanta Major coming up this November to see him in person. He probably will be there in person. I mean, if you're tuned into the comp scene and you're in North America, when there is a North American major, you owe it to your region. You owe it to your pride and your humanity to show up and fight for our region. Well, not fight for our region, but support our region. Make sure you buy tickets and show up to see all your favorite teams, personalities, or hey, just get a beer with friends if you're over 21 a water if you're under 21.
Stay hydrated.
No disrespect, stay hydrated. I was 20 at the Charlotte Major. I did no drinking. I only drank my water. It's okay. But Connor, that's it for tonight. That's it for you and me of the best of ones. Anything you want to say before we sign off?
I mean, at the end of the day, this is Element 1 in a nutshell. The BO1 phase, it's whatever. We were talking about it. Logic throws itself out the window in a BO1. In BO3, logic comes back. It comes back.
It's
and
like
it's
a
going to be
warm
so
blanket.
much more fun to watch, in my opinion. The better team, about 90% of the time, wins a BO3. And BO1s, it's almost 50-50. Maybe we'll say like 60-40 because, you know, a little bit here and there, but
Maybe.
it's almost who shows up on a certain day. There's so much more strategy. It becomes just exponentially more complicated, even going in towards the map ban. If you look at it from a mathematical probability and the sort of possibility you can see with a map ban phase, all of that applies inside the game. And I'm really excited for BO3s because it's where the rubber meets the road in a true sense. All these teams, all these new rosters, we don't know their map pools. We just simply don't. We don't know their best of 3 map pools. And some teams I think are going to get absolutely exposed. Some teams already look beatable and might become even weaker.
Well, if you like consistency, if you like Rainbow Six, if you like good competition, the best of 3s start tomorrow here on twitch.tv/Rainbow Six. I've been Lynx, joined by Seed Apps, and we'll see you tomorrow.